Welcome to my updated top 50 favorite video games of all time. Now, the only reason I did a video of this a couple years ago, and the only reason I'm doing it again is because my brand new TV that I just bought a month ago had broken down already. So last week I had a 3-day weekend, so I spent Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at my girlfriend's house. I come home Sunday, go to play my Nintendo Switch, turn the TV on. It would not work. It wouldn't turn on at all. I normally use a universal remote, so then I tried the original remote. That didn't work. I tried multiple outlets. That didn't work. I finally disconnected the TV, set it on my bed so I could look at the bottom, try to find the button on it, and I finally found the button, so I went and plugged it in again while it was on the bed. Pressed the button, and that wouldn't work. There was a red light on the bottom of the TV, so there is power getting to the TV, but for some reason it just will not go on. So I took it back out to Best Buy where I bought it a month ago, and the customer service is much better than the customer service that I had that I had at Walmart with my previous TV. When I went to Walmart, they just pretty much told me I was on my own, just told me to send it to the manufacturer. But at Best Buy, that guy took it, he said they'll send it in for me. I did pay for the protection plan too, which was 80 bucks. 55-inch Samsung TV, and really nice TV. It just stopped working for some reason, so it might be defective, but I mean, that can happen anywhere with any brand, bought from any store. But anyway, I don't know when I'm going to get my TV back, so here we go with we're going to use the laptop, and there's a gnat buzzing around. So anyway, I did a video of this a couple years ago, my top 50 favorite video games of all time, but I had updated it since then. I think for the most part it's going to be the same, but there are some games that change. So 50th place, Pac-Man on the Atari 2600. Now remember, I'm not saying these are the 50 best games of all time, I'm just saying they're my 50 favorite games of all time, and a lot of that has to do with my memories of playing the game. Like Pac-Man here on the Atari 2600 was the first video game I had ever played. I remember spending hours at my friend Rhonda's house. Me and my sister Jody used to go to our friend Rhonda's house up the street and play Atari. And her grandma actually owned a duplex, so we used to go upstairs, and in the top half, so it was just the three of us upstairs. We had the lights off and the Atari would flash. It was like, I mean, it's kind of scary when you're a kid, but it was fun. 49th place, E.T. on the Atari 2600. Now, a lot of people refer to this as the worst video game of all time, but I don't think it is. I actually had a lot of fun playing this game. The very first game I had ever beaten in my life. So I think it was just confusing because back then a lot of times you're used to just popping the game in and playing it, but this was a little more involved. You had to read the instructions and figure out what to do. And I mean, a lot of people didn't like it because it was cryptic, but there were games such as The Legend of Zelda, which is just as confusing and cryptic as a game like this, but that game was met with high praise. 48th place, Super Mario Brothers. This is the first game I ever played on the NES. I think the last time I did top 50 favorite videos, I think I posted a screenshot of the game, whereas this time I decided to use the cover. And I had never noticed this before, and I don't think probably a lot of people didn't, but if you actually look close at the image, you'll see lava underneath Mario. So they took an image of Mario when he was about to die. See, this was probably in one of the lava boards. I would assume it was most likely World 1-4. And they missed the jump. There's lava underneath him, so he's gonna die. But anyway, played that game, but a lot, but I could never beat it. I beat it for the first time in 2015. So yeah, it took me 26 years to beat this game. I was just the Hammer Brothers World A3 that was my problem. And another thing is, I do not have the patience. Like, I'll watch James and Mike Mondays and I'll see them playing these tough games, and they just keep trying over and over and over, and I just don't have the patience to do that. If I'm playing Super Mario Brothers and I die like 3 times in the same level, I just kind of lose interest in playing it, and I just kind of rush through it and don't care if I die anymore. That's my problem. I use up all my lives, but finally did it in 2015. Next, we've got Home Alone on the Game Boy. So my sister and I each got our own Game Boy back in 19... I want to say it was probably 91 or 92 Christmas. It was released in 89, but anyway, this is one of the games she had. My sister was Home Alone. I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fall of the Foot Clan, but played this game a lot. Super High Impact. This is one of the first games I had on the Super Nintendo, which I got for Christmas in 1993. My 17th birthday was Christmas Eve. And before getting the Super Nintendo, I used to go to a bowling alley all the time and play this game and Street Fighter 2. And I love those 2 games. So when I first rented the Super Nintendo, I went and rented those 2 games, and I wanted them for Christmas, and I got them along with the console. And here's Street Fighter 2. And I'm not sure what version I had, because there's like Street Fighter 2, there's Super Street Fighter 2, there's like Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There are so many versions of it. I know there's Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers, but that was not the game I got for Christmas. I did rent that one years later. I think now I own both. I own like 2 or 3 Street Fighter games on Super Nintendo now. We got Super Caesar's Palace. This is another game I used to rent this one, and I think I actually rented this the week that we got our Super Nintendo. I think over Christmas vacation I rented this game along with the Super Nintendo, and then we opened our Super Nintendo and got this. I can't remember for sure, but I know I played this over Christmas break because my friend Bobby had his camcorder up and we filmed part of the game. But fun casino game where you just walk around and play different games. Baseball. I owned this game in the NES. This is back when the players didn't have any names, or just all generic characters. They all had the same abilities, so you had no idea who was going to hit a home run or who wasn't, because they didn't have names or numbers or anything. It was like they took one player and just cloned them for every team. There's only 6 teams. The teams didn't even have names. They had letters. There was A, C, D, P, R, and Y. I always picked C because I was always a fan of the Chicago White Sox. But play this game many times. Super Mario All-Stars. It's one of the games I had on the Super Nintendo, where you could play Super Mario Brothers, the original. They had Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, which was actually the Japanese version of Super Mario Brothers 2 that nobody really knew about at the time. And then it had the American version of Super Mario Brothers 2, and it had Super Mario Brothers 3 on it. And later they came out with another version that also added Super Mario World to the Super Mario All-Stars. Stupid gnats. Okay, next. Family Feud. I had the date and time covered up there because I'm actually recording this Sunday, September 7th, so it's ready by Friday. But anyway, Family Feud. is a game I ended up buying at one of the pawn shops, and had Joey D written on it. So apparently somebody named Joey D sold it at the pawn shop. But this is a game that's really fun. I'd like to do another video on this sometime, just because I like this game. Tecmo Bowl, this is the original. I played this game many times with my friend Faye, back when I was like maybe 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there. My friend Faye had this game, and this game only had 12 professional football teams, but they didn't have the license to use the team names, so they had like Chicago, Los Angeles, and Denver, but they did have license to use the player names. So if you played, like, let's say Los Angeles, which was the team I picked, they had Bo Jackson on it, had Jay Schrader, Marcus Allen, Howie Long. See, I grew up a Green Bay Packers fan, but Tecmo Bowl didn't have Green Bay in it, so I just picked Los Angeles, and that was how I became a big Bo Jackson fan. Next, we got Tecmo Super Bowl. I remember playing this for the first time at my friend Corey's house, and it was a huge upgrade compared to the first game, because the previous Tecmo Bowl, you couldn't really do a full season. So, like, let's say you pick Los Angeles, the computer picks your opponent, which might be like Washington, and if you get beat, you can't move on to the next week. You have to play again until you beat Washington, and then once you beat Washington, it moves on to week 2, and you play that team. So it can get kind of repetitive. If you just get beat by a team, you don't want to play that same team again. But they fixed that with Tecmo Super Bowl, which actually has a full season. You play week 1, whether you win or lose, you go on to week 2, and it keeps track of your statistics and standings and all that. And not only that, but this team included all of the this game included all of the teams, and it also had the team names. So they finally got the license to use all the team names, their logos, their colors, and everything. So yeah, Tecmo Super Bowl on the NES was a huge upgrade to the original Tecmo Bowl. Tecmo Super Bowl 2 Special Edition. This is a game I never played as a kid. I didn't even know it existed until I got much older, and I finally found out that there were 3 Tecmo Super Bowl games on the Super Nintendo, this being one of them. So I went and ordered it online. It cost me $42. That was probably like 10 years ago. If you want to know the exact year I bought it, you can look at my YouTube videos for Tecmo Super Bowl. I did a video on it shortly after I bought it. And then I even did a full season in Tecmo Super Bowl 2 Special Edition. But I just like this game because it's got just some cool features in it that you don't see in some of the other games, some of the other Tecmo games. Star Fox. This is a game I rented quite a few times, and I don't remember when I ended up buying it. I think I was in my early 20s maybe when I bought it, but it's a pretty fun game. I'd never beat this one. Couldn't get far. Well, I mean, actually one time I did get to what I believe was the last level, and I thought I was almost going to beat the game, but never quite did it. Lone Ranger. This is a game I used to rent all the time. It's by Konami, kind of a fun game. It's a Western style game where you're going through the towns getting clues, but like I said, it is Konami, and Konami games are usually pretty hard. So I can get as far as crossing the bridge, and it seems like after that I get kind of lost. Baseball Stars on the NES. This is another baseball game I used to play quite a bit. I used to rent it, and there's me, my friend Faye, and Jeremy who liked playing this one. And the cool thing about this game is you can create your own teams, create your own players, and I think every time you win a game against the computer you get money, and you can use that money to upgrade your players, if I remember right, something like that. Then we got Super Dodgeball. This is another game I used to rent quite a bit. And I had this downloaded on the Wii, and it was, you know, a pretty fun game to play. And it's one of the games I could actually beat. I think I played in easy mode though. And then we got Punch-Out, which this is actually Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. They don't have Mike Tyson's name on here, but they do have his character in here. But there was originally Mike Tyson's Punch-Out released in 1987, and by 1990 the game was still popular, and Nintendo wanted to keep producing more, but the contract with Mike Tyson expired. I think Mike Tyson was also having some legal issues at the time, so what Nintendo did is they just took Mike Tyson out of the game and put in Mr. Dream. But I remember playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out as a kid quite a bit. And another game I could never beat, I could beat Glass Joe, I could beat Von Kaiser, I could beat Piston Honda, and then they go on to the next bout where you take on Don Flamenco, which I beat, and then I could beat King Hippo, I beat the Great Tiger, and I think it's Bald Bull, and I was able to beat him. And then I think after that it goes on to I can't remember, but Soda Popinski is the one I can't beat. I just never was able to figure out his pattern, didn't have the patience. But anyways, it's kind of a cool picture of all the characters here. And I'm not sure, one of these characters is, I think, Mr. Macho Man, the other one's Mr. Sandman or something like that. I'm not sure who's who though, because I never got that far. And of course you got Mario as the referee, which is kind of cool. Okay, next in 32nd place we got Mortal Kombat. This is a game that I've played on arcade a few times, and I rented the home version, and I was able to beat it, but in very easy mode. Next we got Super Mario Kart. I remember running this game one time, and I thought it was just so exciting. And I saw a cool documentary about the creation of this game. Nintendo was originally planning to make a second game, a sequel to F-Zero, and it wasn't working the way they wanted it to, and they ended up changing it into Super Mario Kart. Just thought it was going to be a fun little novelty game, and I think Nintendo really underestimated how popular it was going to be. I remember running this for the first time, and it was so fun. You could do race mode, you could do battle mode, but I got really good at this game, playing a lot, and I was like undefeated all the time. I was actually recently playing this game against my girlfriend, and it's like this, she had no experience playing this game, and I had like years of experience, so I mean, it's kind of hard to play against someone when the experience level is so far apart. So anyway, we got Royal Rumble, WWF, and this is another game I rented quite a bit, and another one you can choose your difficulty. 1 out of 10, I usually always chose a 5, and it's kind of cool because you could do like a regular wrestling match, or you could do like a tag team match, or you could do the Royal Rumble. As you can see in this one, you got the Royal Rumble because there's 6 wrestlers in there, and there's only 6 in there at a time, and when one guy gets thrown out, another one comes in, so it's kind of cool. You can control one guy, it's you against the entire computer, and you know, if it gets down to, like, let's say 5 guys, you can kind of stand in the corner sometimes and just watch the computer guys wrestle against each other until they throw them out of the ring. But you want to keep an eye on your wrestler because they might go after you too. But this game was actually published by LJN, and it's like actually a really good game. So LJN really had some bad times with the NES. A lot of their games were criticized heavily for good reason. Most of their games were terrible. Even though they didn't develop the game, they hired these third-party developers, like some really low-name ones, to make games that were never that popular. Here's another one I used to run on the Super Nintendo, Michael Jordan's Chaos in the Windy City. And I could pass, there's 5 levels in the museum here, I could pass all 5 of those. And then there's the laboratory, and see, after you beat those 5 levels, you could choose between the laboratory or the factory. And I can't remember which one is which of those two, but one of them I was able to get to the last level and can't quite beat it. And as far as the other one, I think I could beat like 1 level. Yeah, it's pretty fun though. The power-ups are just like kind of weird. You get them at random spots when you don't need them. Like, let's say this heart right here might fill up your health all the way. Well, you might get that, and then like just below it there's going to be another one. It's like you don't really need one now, you just got one. That'd be kind of like playing Super Mario Brothers, and like say there's a fire flower in a block, and then right above it there's another block with a fire flower in it. You wouldn't need 2 fire flowers that close to each other. That's how it kind of feels with the power-ups in this particular game. SimCity, this is another one I used to rent quite a bit, and at some point, kind of like Star Fox, I ended up buying it when I was like in my early 20s. And I used to like playing this game with the game Genie, because you could have unlimited amount of money to spend and just build your city, like covering the entire map. Otherwise, it's one of the big flaws about the game, is you can only build so much and then you run out of money. There is a trick you can use by holding like the L button, R button, and if you watch my SimCity video I was able to do it, but you do this certain code on your controller and it'll give you like a lot of money. Something like, I want to say $999,999 or something like that. But it seems like whenever I try that code, it only works like 25% of the times I try it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong on some of those times, but it's one of those games I had more fun if I've got Game Genie. Okay, I'm really getting sick of the gnats in my room. Next we got MLB-PA on the Super Nintendo. This is a game I also owned, played many seasons. This is kind of like, they had the same thing going that Tecmo Super Bowl had. They had the rights to use the player names, but they didn't have the rights to use the team names, so they just had cities. But they did have all 28 Major League Baseball teams, and like for the, you know, you got like the White Sox and Cubs that are both Chicago, so they had like Chicago A for American League and Chicago N for National League. But this game was developed by EA Sports. Actually, I'm not sure if EA Sports developed it, but they definitely published it, because I know in some of the earlier EA games they had another third-party company develop the games and then they published them. But yeah, this is a fun game. I played a lot of times. You could do a full season of 100 and I think it's 162 games, or you can auto skip some of those games. Another one I own, Donkey Kong Country on the Super NES. Now, my name was in something in Super Nintendo. I think it was when my mom and my sister ordered Super Mario All-Stars for me. I think that put my name into their database at Nintendo of America, because they ended up sending me a tape, like it was like a 20-minute tape, just kind of showing like all the tips and tricks and hidden stuff of Donkey Kong Country, which I imagine probably millions of people around the country got. You know, like if your name was in the Nintendo of America database and it was like just a 20-minute advertisement, and it was enough to make me want to get the game, so I got it in Christmas '94. Still never beat it, but I can get up to the 4th world. Next we got Tecmo Super Bowl 3 Final Edition. This is the game I played the most out of all the Tecmo games, because I got this in, I think, '95, or maybe it was '96, somewhere around there. It was released in '95, but I think I got it, I might have got it after that, maybe '96, but anyway, this is a game I had for many years. It's got all 28 NFL teams in it. Or no, wait, I think this game's got 30 NFL teams in it. And, you know, the players, the teams, they're all, like, authentic. They all got, like, the logos and everything. And I've won the Super Bowl many times in this game. I also did a full season on this game, too. You can look it up on my YouTube channel if you're interested. I also... Oh no, I didn't do a tournament on this one. Super Mario Maker 2, my 24th favorite game. And this is the game I'm still currently playing. It came out in, I want to say 2019, but I'm not 100% positive. I was actually just playing this game today. And it's pretty much the only game, well, I mean, the only games I can play at this moment are on the Switch, because, like I said, my TV is non-functional. So there's a level I started making a week ago, and I was making some finishing touch-ups on it today. And I also recently did a bunch of uploads of some levels I made. Next we got Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the PS2. This is a game that I got my PS2 when I was, I think, 29 or 30 years old. So yeah, I got it in 2006. So I never had this as a kid. I was an adult by the time the PS2 came out, and I was even an older adult by the time I bought a PS2. And the reason for that was because I had an Atari 2600 as a kid, I had an NES as a kid, I had a Super NES as a teen, and then by the time I was an adult, I bought the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64. And it seemed like right after I bought the PlayStation, the PS2 comes out. It's like, yeah, I'm not spending that kind of money when I just bought the original PlayStation. But it's a pretty fun game. You play as CJ, you're a gangster, and you go around doing all these different types of missions. Definitely not for kids. It's rated M, is mature. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of profanity, a lot of materials that would be unsuitable for kids, but pretty fun game. Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories. This is the first Grand Theft Auto game I owned, because my friend James actually, I went to his house and he showed me Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and that was what convinced me to buy a PS2. So I bought the PS2, I was going to buy San Andreas, and then the clerk at the video game shop told me, well, Liberty City Stories is the newer one, so I decided to get that. And it turned out that Liberty City Stories isn't quite as advanced as the previous one, San Andreas, but I think I like it a little bit more because I played it a lot more and it's a little bit easier. I can complete a lot more missions. I also had a magazine that showed where a lot of, like, the hidden packages are and the pastimes and different weapons and all that. But with San Andreas, you can actually swim, which you can't do in this game. You can fly in helicopters and jets and stuff, and ride boats, and I think you can do some of that in this game, but I know you can't swim. Sims 2 Castaway. This is another game I had on the PS2. I'm actually thinking about redoing this game at some point, but the only problem was the game was glitchy. You know, I don't know if, you know, it was by EA Sports. I don't know if they rushed through it, but it just, there's a lot of freeze-ups and stuff like that. And I think they made the game on another console, maybe either the GameCube or the Dreamcast. I'm not sure, but I'd like to find it and see if it functions a little bit better. But pretty fun game where you create your own players. So you can put like you and your friends in there. You end up on a deserted island, and you have to like pick stuff up and build your own forts, and you make tools out of whatever you can find on the island. You use those tools to make better tools. You use those better tools to make better huts, and you just keep on, like, it's almost like an RPG type deal, it feels like. Another favorite is Monopoly on the PS2. So I've got Monopoly on the NES, the Super NES, I've got it on the PlayStation, the PS2, and the Switch. I don't think I did a video on the PlayStation yet, on the PlayStation version. But out of all of them, this is my favorite. I don't know why, it's just, you know, the other games you get kind of bored playing. This one, I don't get bored. I don't know if it's the music or the background pictures or what, but I had a lot of fun with this game. But now the game does cheat. This is by EA Sports, and it seems like everything goes the computer's way. So that's why I'll create two players, player 1, player 2, and I'll have player 2 help player 1. But anyway, fun game. It's my 20th favorite. 19th, Medal of Honor on the PlayStation. This game was actually created by Steven Spielberg, and from what I heard, he was inspired from GoldenEye on the N64, and it plays pretty similar to GoldenEye, but the PlayStation's graphic capabilities were slightly behind the N64. The PlayStation was 32-bit, N64 was 64-bit, but still pretty fun game. And next we got a GoldenEye on the N64. So both this and Medal of Honor first-person shooter games. See, this one was made in '97, and it was based off the movie GoldenEye, James Bond, which was released in '95. So it's kind of like you're going through the streets that you see in the movie, through the buildings you see in the movie. And let's take a step back to Medal of Honor. Now this one was released in 1999, and it takes place during World War II. So it's kind of like just random World War II scenery. And the thing I like most about this game is the scenery changes so much. Like, you might be in a jungle one level, next level you're in a sewers, then you're in a train station, and you're in a boatyard, you're on a submarine, you're in a battleship. It's just, that one changes. So this one, it does change, but not quite as much as Medal of Honor, I don't think. But I think I have more memories playing this game because I had it for longer. And we got Mario Kart 64. Now, Super Mario Kart was my favorite game for a long time on the Super Nintendo, and then my friend Bobby invited me up to his house. He had the N64 and Mario Kart 64, and when I played this game, it just blew the other game away. The Super Nintendo version, I kind of lost interest in the Super NES version after this, and this is the game that made me get the N64. Ranked at 16th, we've got Bases Loaded on the NES. This is a game my friend Faye had when we were kids, and you know, I had baseball, he had Bases Loaded, so sometimes we'd play this at his house, and this was always a fun game because they have multiple teams that have players, and the players actually have different abilities. So it's kind of like, it's not like the original baseball where you got a bunch of clones. This one's like each player has, you know, like a home run hitter, you got like a fast runner, but the players and the teams are all fictional. The teams are just like city names. You got like Boston, you've got Jersey, you've got DC, and the players are just a bunch of fictional characters. But I like the music of the game. music in the game, and I also like the gameplay. It's pretty fun. Next we got NHL. I think this is NHL 95. But yeah, this is a big game that I remember when I first started getting into hockey back in 94. I was like 17 years old, going on to 18, and that's when I just first started getting interested in hockey. And I remember my friend Bobby said his friend Floyd has NHL 95, because I used to rent NHL 94. So no, it was okay, Bobby's friend Floyd, and then Floyd had another friend who had NHL 95, and Bobby knew I was into NHL 94, so he told me, hey, I got a friend that's got NHL 95, do you want to temporarily trade Tecmo Super Bowl for it? And I told him, yeah, sure. So we traded, and I loved this game, so I asked him if he wanted to permanently trade, and he agreed. So played this game quite a bit, although I think NHL 96 was a huge upgrade, but I have more memories playing this game. And also, this is another one that was like a huge upgrade from the previous one, like Tecmo Bowl and Tecmo Super Bowl. This one, like in NHL 94, you had to use a password to advance if you're playing like a full season. And NHL 95, you didn't have that. You had a save feature. Also, you can create your own players, which you couldn't do in NHL 94. You could trade players. You could do drop to free agents. You could pick up free agents. And all of that you could not do in NHL 94. They all had like fixed rosters. And also in NHL 95, you had a practice mode. Because see, in NHL 94, I always struggled. I could never even score against the computer. So in NHL 95, I was able to give myself 5 players, give the computer like 2 players, and I ended up beating them all the time. And then I had moved it up to 3 players. And when I got good at that, I finally moved it up to 5-on-5. Next we got NHL 07 on the PS2. This is the first hockey game I bought on the PS2 and played it quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure I did a full season on this game. But I mean, yeah, there's not much to say other than it's a huge upgrade from NHL 95 as far as graphics and all that. Then we got Super Mario World. This is a game that came with my Super Nintendo when I was 17, and I remember for quite a while when I first started playing, I couldn't get past Castle in the Vanilla Dome. But then at some point I ended up getting through it. Now I can easily beat the game just the same way I just beat that gnat that was on my computer screen. I mean, I do like this game, but sometimes I feel it's a little too easy. I'll get into that a little bit later, though. Next, we got Tecmo Super Bowl on the Super NES, and I had this game for a short period of time until I traded for NHL 95. But the one thing I like about this game is the cutscenes. It's got like, it'll show them like passing the ball to the quarterback. It'll show like catching the ball, and it's got a lot of little cutscenes that kind of make the game interesting. And I think also for nostalgic reasons, just for, you know, because it was just an amazing game when I first played it. Another game is Super Mario 64. Now, when I first started playing this game, I did not like it. I was used to Mario games being, you know, side-scrolling platformer games, and I played this game as 3D, and I thought, I'm really not liking this. But as I got to play it more and more, I started getting into it, and it took me 9 years, but I finally beat this game. But it was one of those games where I would play up to a certain point where I couldn't get any further, and I'd stop, and then maybe like a couple months later I might come back to the game, but instead of continuing where I left off, I'd start over. and play all the levels again, and I slowly started increasingly getting better and better until I was finally able to get up to 70 power stars, which was enough to beat the game. I think the most power stars I ever had is somewhere in the 90s. I want to say 96 or 97. I'm not sure. You could probably go back and look at my Super Mario 64 videos and you might see the save file that shows it. Yeah, surprisingly I still have these games, these N64 games, and the battery save is still works. Next we got Abobo's Big Adventure. This was released on the PC and an amazing game. It was a huge tribute to the NES, made by these, I can't remember the name of the guys who made it, but it was these three guys who were big NES fans, and what they did is they took all these NES, they made their own NES levels, kind of out of what you see in NES games, and they took all these NES characters and threw them in there. So you play as a Bobo from Double Dragon, and the first level is you're on the streets of Double Dragon and you're fighting like against characters from Spy vs. Spy. You've got Donkey Kong, you've got Goombas, so you got all these random enemies from different games. And then at the end of the first level you fight the shooter guy, the machine gun guy, Double Dragon, and you move on to the second level and it's Super Mario underwater, but you got like the Yoshi tongue. So here you're swimming in the second level, picking up fish and shooting them. Now you got like Jaws, the shark Jaws from the game Jaws. You got like Bubble Man from Mega Man. It's just too hard to describe the amazement. So I'd highly recommend watching my video on it. I actually beat the game on one life. Now, I'm not saying it's an easy game, because it definitely is not. It was just, I was so obsessed with it when it came out in like I think it came out in 2012, but I think I played it for the first time in 2014. I was playing it so much that I got really good and I was able to beat it in one life. But now this is a game you could download on your computer and play it on your keyboard, but I went and bought a Retrolink adapter where you can plug your NES controller into the adapter, and the adapter has a USB port or plug on the other side that you can plug it right in. So I was able to play it on my laptop, and yeah, I beat it on one life and I got it recorded on video, so I put it on my YouTube channel. And just an amazing game. But now I can't play it for some reason. It used, I think, Adobe Flash, and I think Adobe Flash is now obsolete, so I don't know if there's something I could download to substitute for it. But yeah, that's the same with my Oregon Trail game on the PC. I can no longer play those because of the same reason. Next we got Spy vs. Spy on the NES. This is a game I used to run quite a bit as a kid. And I used to hate playing against the computer though, because it was too hard, but that's when I was a kid and I was impatient. I'm still impatient, but now I can play against the computer and easily beat him. So, pretty much just about every game we've seen so far I've played. I've done a YouTube video on. Super Mario Bros. 2, my 8th favorite game. This is a game my friend Faye had. Now this game was really hard to find back in 1988. It was released October 9th of 1988. And it was really hard to find. A lot of people wanted to get it for the Christmas shopping, but apparently there was a chip shortage, so Nintendo had a hard time putting out many games. And there was actually a segment on TV called, you can look it up on YouTube, it's called Nuts for Nintendo. It's like a 10-minute news segment where reporter John Stossel was looking for the game and he's interviewing all these other people looking for the game, and yeah, it was just crazy. But my friend Faye was one of the lucky ones that had it, and he used to bring it over to our house. My sister and I like to watch him beat the game, and now I can beat it. When I play this game, I like to play every single level. I don't like to skip anything. I don't take any warp down or any warp pipes. Next we got Double Dragon on the arcade. So this is one game I have not done a YouTube video on because I don't have access to the arcade version. I do have the the NES version, but I originally played the arcade version. Me, my friend Faye, and my friend Corey used to go down to this bar, the Lucky Lady. And this is back in the 80s, back when they didn't really have a problem with kids coming into the bar to play video games. So, yeah, we used to go in there and play the game all the time. And then I finally found it on the NES and rented it. So excited. I got home and played it. It just felt like a badly watered down version of the arcade game. So, I never really got into the NES version. And I think another reason why is because you can only get so far in the NES version and it's like game over. You gotta start at the beginning. In the arcade version, as long as you can keep plugging in quarters, you can keep playing. So, yeah, we ended up beating the game quite a few times. And I remember when I was 16, I ended up finding this game at an amusement park's hotel, and I ended up playing by myself and beat it. I think it took me like $10 worth of quarters to beat it, but yeah, I love this version. Next we got North and South. Another fun one I love playing. This game you can beat in like a few minutes, or you can like stretch it out, take a long time, and you can actually choose whether you want to be the North and South. You could choose whether you want 2 players or computer. You can even have computer versus computer if you just want to sit there and watch, but it's kind of cool. It starts out looking like a chess game, you know. You got like the US map, and you move your soldiers around, and then you can go to battle, and it's a lot of fun. It's another one that's hard to just explain without actual pictures, but this is another game I did a video on. Next we got Maniac Mansion. This was a game I used to rent quite a bit too. And for the longest time I never had any idea how to beat this game, but it's one of those games that you could rent and just keep playing and playing and playing for a long time until you finally get stuck. And then as an adult I ended up buying the game and did some research or watched some YouTube videos, one of the two, and ended up learning how to beat it. So yeah, I did a YouTube video beating this game. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, my 4th favorite game. This is another one my friend Faye had as a kid, and what he used to do is use a password to give him all the items he needed. So all you had to do is walk all the way to the left, catch the tornado, take it all the way to the right. So we ended up getting this game for Christmas when we were kids. Used the same password, so I was able to beat this game within like 15-20 minutes. But then when I finally downloaded it on the Wii as an adult, I wanted to do it the real way, so I watched someone else play a YouTube video on it. So I learned what to do, and I ended up playing it myself. And I mean, as long as you know what to do, it's a fun game. But back in the day, this game got a lot of flack for kind of like E.T. being very cryptic, couldn't figure out what to do. The game gives you clues, but even the clues are very cryptic. And you don't know which clues are real clues or if they're just, you know, like not true. Like some random guy might say there's a fire up in the trees or something like that, and so you're sitting there looking for it and it doesn't exist. Not sure whether you need it or not, but I mean, this is another one I recommend watching my full playthrough of to fully understand it. 3rd favorite game, The Legend of Zelda on the NES. This is a game I used to rent as a kid, and I hated it because it was so frustrating. I had no idea what to do. I mean, for the same reason most other people hated E.T. and Simon's Quest was the reason why I hated this game. That was just one of the reasons. I think the main reason I hated this game was because he died so easily all the time. And I get so mad because he keeps starting over the same board. Then this is another game I downloaded on the Wii as an adult. I watched somebody do a playthrough on YouTube, and once I knew how to do it, I went and did it myself, and I was able to beat the game. And this is another game. This is a game I could beat on 1 life. I'm not saying that every time I play it I'm going to beat it on 1 life, but I have done it before. And I want to go back to Simon's Quest and mention that this is another game I've done that before. I beat this game on 1 life, And I think with this game I did it twice, but I usually always die at least once. But on The Legend of Zelda, I usually can beat that one life. It's just a matter of being really careful. Second favorite game, Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. I remember when this first came out, February 9th of 1990. I wanted to rent it, but it was really hard to find. And finally one day I went to the video game store, and there it was. So I rented it for 3 days, and my friend Faye and I played this, and I remember we got to World 8, but we couldn't beat it. I mean, now I can beat it, I'd say fairly easily. I did a full playthrough in this game, and when I play this game, I like to play every single level. I like to play every single bonus stage. I'll collect all 3 of the warp whistles, the warp flutes, but I won't use them. I just like to do everything in the game. There are some times where I'll try a level, I might struggle on it twice or 3 times, and I'll go ahead and skip it, but at least I try every level once. Very fun game. Usually when I beat this game, I got 99 lives at the end. Never beaten out of 1 life though, that would be really hard. Okay, now you ready for my all-time favorite game? You probably already know it. I probably mentioned it multiple times. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch. This is a game that is just so much to do in it, and it's just so amazing. I played it for the first time in 2017. Now I got my Switch on launch day, but I didn't get the game until a couple weeks later. But I mean, just playing it for the first time was amazing. If you want to hear more about those memories of playing it for the first time, I'd recommend watching my full playthrough on this game. I did, I think, 19 videos. Every video was 2 hours long, so yeah, it's practically like watching a series, like a movie series. But just a great game. And this also is a game I can beat on 1 life. It's just a matter of getting to Kakariko Village without dying, and after that you're pretty safe once you get the fairies. You kind of got them as insurance. So anyways, that was my top 50 favorite games of all time. You know, I know I did this video 2 years ago, but there were some slight changes, and as I said, I couldn't do any games on my TV, so I think if I don't have my TV next week, they said it might take 1 to 2 weeks before they're gonna fix my TV. They're gonna send it in where my TV's gonna get hopefully fixed and sent back. But if I don't have my TV next week, I do have one game on the Switch that I have not done yet. That was that's Luigi's Mansion, so maybe I'll do that next week. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. See you in the next video.